This month, we're talking about breaking the code. Talking about the women who are really breaking the code of how artists get funded, how they build really good businesses and creative businesses. And so this is a really important topic to me because I have a special guest today. Shelly is such an amazing person. Shelly is not only a really good friend, but Shelly is a mentor of mine. Shelly has been doing some amazing work in the community. She's a board president for one of the leading art nonprofits in Jersey City. She has built her own business. And she's been really creating equity for creatives in our community. And I'm just, really proud to just kind of have her here and talk about it. I'm going to let her introduce herself, but I wanted to just kind of give a synopsis of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So breaking the code is really about understanding who's in the movement of funding artists, of creating businesses that are thriving. I'm talking about how do you get in front of that? Where do you go to get funding? How do you get started, right? What's that point in your career and, that you said, what, I've got to do something, I've got to bridge out. And so we're going to be talking about breaking the code. With me, myself, you guys know, I'm not your typical artist, right? I'm a 9-to-5er. And then I started a business with my husband, right? Magnum Opus Studios. And we created a space for creators to not only create their greatest masterpiece, but we wanted to create community and collaboration because we feel like in order for you to go far, you have to have a community behind you. And in every aspect of my life, whether it's been in corporate America, it's been outside of corporate America, that's been a very true statement. And I'm proud to say that Antonio and I have helped several businesses, creative businesses, really launch and get off the ground. And it's been such a privilege and a pleasure to see that. And I feel like we're breaking the code because you don't see a lot of black and brown people getting behind other young creatives to see them be successful. And that's really what we want our legacy to be about, outside of being great parents, that's my baby daddies. And outside of just, having a great family, having a great business, really putting God first, we want our legacy to really be that we got behind other creators to see them be successful. And so that's kind of our breaking the code. So Shelly, I want you to introduce yourself, and then I want you to start off kind of talking about, what was that moment when you said, okay, I gotta do something different. I gotta, get out there and break the code for myself.
Well, to start, I am Michelle Bellamy, called Shelly. Some people call me Michelle, some people call me Shelly, but that's who I am. As for my work, I am a technical engineer and a technical project manager for an international law firm in New York. But outside of that, as she mentioned, as Nicole mentioned, I'm the board president for Art House Productions. But my tenure is up, so I will be stepping down next week. But I've been on the board for 8 years. I've also been on the board for an organization, Mysterious Ways, Jersey City. Mm-hmm. And I also do a lot of work with Kismet of Kings.
Yes.
So that's been my wheelhouse. But I also was the campaign manager for Louis Spears when he ran his campaign.
That's right. Yeah. I remember that.
That was my real kind of start getting to know Jersey City. So previous to that, although I've lived here forever, wasn't really engaged in that way. So once I got with Louis and got into the campaign and stuff, I started seeing a lot about Jersey City and what was happening. And through that connection, I met the prior board president, David Gibson. Talked to David and just kind of like getting to know him and stuff. And that's how I became a board member. And then through that membership, eventually I became the board president. So, but now so that's about me. So now talking about breaking the code.
Yeah. What was that moment when you realized you had to stop waiting for permission and start building your own table? What was that like?
It started when I started doing the work with Louis. I started seeing that I needed to do certain things, right? And this is where I moved into like really using my technology, right, towards building a business. But what the problem was is not being able to jumpstart that business, right? Because I wanted to do a business, because what I saw with working on that campaign was there are a lot of people who are older who have access to technology, but they don't know how to use it. And so they don't participate. People don't participate in a lot of things. They don't want to do, even in the arts. There's a lot of people who do arts, but they don't know the technical aspects of that. So I was trying to work on building something that would speak to that. So it started with going to Hudson County School of Technology. Going there, and I've been teaching there for the past 3 years. But I stopped doing that because I started realizing I wanted to expand this, right? And so right before I went to Ghana, I just was like, you know what? We got to make some moves.
I saw your website.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It looks really good.
Trying to make moves and stuff like that. But then I realized I needed a partner. And that's where breaking the code comes in, I think, is partnerships, right? Trying to do it on my own, it just wasn't working. And then I met someone who is an educator out in Newark. He has his PhD in education. And so we started talking, and so we're collaborating.
Okay.
To bring programs together for adult learners, right? So we talk about intro to technology, like cyber. Like a lot of people really get caught, even in their businesses, get caught out there with like cyber threats and stuff like that, because people don't know. They don't know about these things. They don't know how to protect themselves. I was just telling Talonda a story about how through my tech experience, my laptop died, right? So I have my laptop and I'm sitting there and I can't use it. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so I have my little insurance and I'm like, oh, let me call these people. And they're like, yeah, you can send it to us and we'll give it back to you in a month. Okay, that's not going to do. What do we do, right? So what I've learned in technology, and this is what I teach to the people that I'm teaching, is how to find answers. So what I did was I saw the error, immediately went to Google, told me what to do, used it off of my phone because now I can't get to the laptop. I use it off my phone, tells me what to do, boom, I'm working again.
Oh, wow.
So I saved a month of drama, right, to get this thing working. And it wasn't like it was a genius thing. It wasn't like, oh my God, I had to open it up and do this and that. It wasn't any of that.
Yeah.
It was something very easy, something very simple. And that's what I do in the teaching. And that's what we're trying to expand for people, is showing people the way. So what I do is not so much teach, is coach. Okay. So people need more coaching experiences, right? So you go to these classes and people are talking to you and they're like, oh, you should know this and you should know. A lot of people don't, because that's not their focus, right? So your focus is something else, but you can learn this, right? So what do? There's all of these accessibility options that I can show people that they don't know. Like most people don't know that when you go to Google, there's that microphone sitting there.
Yeah, so you stop waiting for like permission for somebody to tell you, let's do that. That makes me think about, when Antonio and I, we're looking for spaces. And some of you creatives, if you're a photographer, videographer, or even you had events and you've gone into some spaces and you like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna put my pocketbook down in here. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember we went to one space and it was like probably as big as this spotlight right here. And we got in there and it was not clean. And Antonio was bringing this like beauty model in there, and I'm like,
you can't bring her in here.
How you gonna bring her in here? I don't even want to put my pocketbook down in here. And I remember, the owners looking at us kind of like, you should be so grateful that we gave you this space. And we were just like, we're here paying. And Tony was like, I'm just tired of asking for permission to create a space. Like, I'm tired of going different places and trying to partner with people, and nobody really wants to open up a space for you, right? And so that was the point where he was just like, okay, we're gonna get our own space. What he said was, I'm gonna get my own space. And I said, well, who's gonna pay for that? Okay. I was like, you can get your own space, but how about we get somebody to pay the rent for this space?
Right.
And so he was like, you know what, that's not a bad idea. So we so then the business case, all this
Right.
started. I started creating these pitch decks and how much it was going to cost.
Right.
But I think that was the moment where we were like, you know what, we got to stop asking for permission. Even
Exactly.
when we came to this space, if some of you know, we were at 150 Bay.
Right.
In downtown, right
yeah,
across the street
right.
from Art House.
Right, right.
Now that's a very posh neighborhood.
Yes.
The clientele looks very different, but the emerging artists would not come down there. They would not support our business.
Yeah, because in certain spaces, do you feel welcome? You know,
They didn't feel.
you
They
don't
didn't feel welcome.
don't
But you know
feel-
what? We didn't feel welcome. We felt like we were always asking for permission. Can we have this event? We were always trying to connect with professional artists or organizations. I think Art House was like the first people that funded us. But even honestly, if I can be honest, it was hard to even talk to Art House because
It's hard to talk to a lot of
it just felt like no one was accepting us. No one was trying to create this collaboration thing that we were trying to do. We were trying to put Black and brown artists on the table.
Right.
We were trying to create a space where you could come, you can, hang out and everything like that. Shout out to Neighbors, because there's a new company, a new organization down the street called Neighbors, and they built a space where basically it's like you can go chill and hang out, and it's a safe space for people to be really open. And so those were the type of spaces we were trying to create, and nobody wanted us to do that. And we couldn't even help other people that wanted to do that.
Exactly.
So we got tired. And so Antonio was like, listen, let's go over here to 86 Forest. He brought me over here. I was like, oh, no. None of my friends or girlfriends going to want to come over here.
But the thing is, it's hard to find. Like, it's not a bad neighborhood. It's just, like, finding it.
No, it's not a bad neighborhood.
Yeah,
but
this is
if
nice
all my female, if we're honest, when you first roll over here, what you see in here does not equate to what you see out there.
Because it's so,
right?
it's so empty, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But I think that when you are trying to create something different,
Right.
it's not going to come to you on a platter.
No.
And it's never going to look like what you see in 10 years,
Exactly.
right? It's never going to look like, it just won't have that pristine crisp like downtown has.
Exactly.
And so like we came over here with like okay, now we're going to really create what we see. And not only, like I said, not only have we created, there's small people that are building up. So it's becoming a community of just businesses that are creating their own tables. They're not waiting on organizations to fund them or support them. They're getting each other to. So I shout you out because you're just like what we did. You didn't wait. So my other question to you is, what advice would you give artists who are going to look for funding, especially women? Because I think some of the challenges that we face are, some of us have seen each other in rooms where there's funding, right? And there's not a lot of, the funding isn't like, hey, we're over here, come fund, come get this money, right? It's who you know, what you know. But at the same time, you always hear there's money out there. So what would be your advice for women creators looking for
That's where the
access?
technology comes in, right? Because you have to be able, that's where a lot of people are intimidated, right? They don't go online. They don't check out. There's like if you go on the SBA site right now, there's all of this stuff that you can get in terms of loans. People don't know, right? The people who get that stuff are the people who know where to go. It's not just being, I'm at this location or that. They know, let me go to this site.
So it's not for businesses that are like already, because my perception was at first it was for businesses who were like well established.
It's like this is where you're getting your microloans out and stuff like that, where you're going to these sites and they're saying to you, like, for instance, Kellogg does these grants for different people, right? For different things, for artists and different things like that. Looking at these foundations where you're going directly to them and asking them, listen, I have this or I have that. And maybe even partnering with somebody that you can say to someone, oh, let's create this, and then ask them.
We just talked about that last month about collaboration. And I'll be honest with you, I think that one of the reasons why we struggle to get funding is because we don't collaborate.
Right.
I think that if we come together and do things together, we would have a better we would have a better value proposition. And the value proposition is I'm not just doing it with me, I'm doing it with me, her, her,
Right.
and these are the things that we bring, and we triple, right,
Just have
our value and our ROI. And when you said technology, the other thing that I found that is helpful, I think we were talking about this earlier, is being in the room. So Antonio and I, if you guys can believe it, I'm very introverted, actually. I know it doesn't come off that way, but I'm very introverted, but I've had to push myself to go into these rooms.
Right.
And what I found is people will actually volunteer to give you money. Like if you actually go meet them, or you're in the room and you're just kicking it with them, talking to them, they'll say, you know what, I got something, or I know about something,
Yes.
or I got some extra funding, come talk to me. And
Right.
we've had that happen to us, and people are like just kind of now saying, we want to fund you. And it's not like there's funding that they're promoting, it's just opportunities that they have laying out there. So I would encourage people to, if you're looking for funding, like actually go to events like this, because you'll be surprised you're meeting even though you're stepping down, but the president of the board of Art House. Like you said, you don't officially get involved in like selecting, but you know about what's going on. You can call people. Like you've called people before and said, Our House has a grant, you need to apply.
We just gave out 10 micro grants, $1,000 each, to different artists, right? So if I know an artist is looking for funding, I'll call people, listen, apply. I've tried to have encourage different people to do shows with, like reach out. If you're a visual artist, send information about that. If you're a writer, send in when we do incubator every year. Put your scripts into incubator. Those different things. Sometimes there are people who put things in and they've done it 4 or 5 times, and maybe they didn't get it the first time, but they got it because people are seeing your name and they're like, oh, the other thing is speaking up. It's really, that's the thing about me being here, because you're talking about being an introvert. I am nervous about, so I've been thinking about this all day. Like, oh my God, like what's going to happen? How am I going to look? This is crazy. But because I want to move into a different space, I'm like, all right, we just have to do this. Like, it's just going to have to happen. But that's what we have to do. You have to do that. So part of it is speaking up when you're going to places. Listen, so the funny thing is, I won't speak up for myself, but I speak up for my friends. So I'm always like, she does this. She's doing that. And I don't really do it for myself. And a lot of us do that, right? We're somewhere and you're talking all about this one, that one, but you're not talking about you. When you want funding, you got to speak up for yourself. You have to, like what you said, you talking in a room, listen, she's doing this, but so am I.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because people will respond a lot of times when you're saying something.
I want to challenge every woman in this room. So one of the things I want to challenge you guys about is find another woman in this room that is doing business that you have synergy with, and figure out how you can collaborate. I'm going to give you an example. There is a beverage company called the Uncommon Cup, right? And they are amazing. We had their mocktails tonight.
Yes.
And one of the things that I love about the company is that, it's ran by 2 amazing Latinos. And they just have such an amazing spirit behind them. But what we've done is we've came together to collaborate. So every event we sit down and we talk about like, okay, how are we going to do it? And how are we each going to make money? How are we going to each like position each other? Right. And we've come together. So each event, we're always figuring out like, they're making money just by saying, okay, you're going to need a beverage for this. You're going to need a beverage for that. Right. Oh, yeah, we're going to be your beverage for this. Like, we've collaborated. And now, guess what? JCast, the closing party, Magnum Opus is the official closing party for JCast. So October the 5th from 6 to 9, I want you guys to come out. You have to support. We need to show everybody in Jersey City, like where the spots to be. And the Uncommon Cup, they're really the Uncommon brands I need to give them, because they got all these different like companies and all this crazy, right? But they're the common brand, and they're going to be our beverage service. And so basically that's like that's how we go after funding. But what we're really going to do, I'm going to tell you guys a secret, but don't tell anybody. I'm not supposed to be telling this. What we're really doing is we're trying to create social capital. So we're going to basically present them and us to different key members in the city, different mayor candidates. We're going to present them as we have opportunity to do more than just the beverage service. Magnum Opus and Uncommon, we are collaborating. Right. So if you want to do art events, if you want to do, fundraisers, whatever you want to do, we're here. Right. And we're two brands that are working together. Right. And I don't care what anybody's saying, no matter what the political climate, people are still looking to support Black and brown women, right? We have the brain power to be successful. Right. And I think that we have to work together. And they are an example of how we're working together. And I love it because people think that we're just like, oh, we're doing events together. But the real thing, the aha, like you always say, the gotcha is that we're basically going to go to these different officials and be like, okay, we did this for you guys. We did this big party. Yeah. Our social capital is now we want to be involved in every event, or at least the top events that you're doing. Right. So we're going to create that synergy where we're now partners. And that's what I want every woman in this room to do. Figure out how to move. You know how you have all these little small, I don't want to call them bombs, but somebody's throwing this bomb, somebody's throwing this bomb. But I think if we start really breaking the code, to me, is if we just start coming together and be like, boom, and creating a big bomb. And it's so explosive. So we create this big bomb over here for you, and then we just move the itinerary, and then we just throw something else out and we break, you know what I'm saying? We create a bomb for somebody else.
We have to look and remember that we can't do everything by ourselves. That was one of the things for me, A lot of times you're thinking but I know this. I should be able to do this. Why can't, you know what I mean? And that's what was happening. That's why it wasn't jump starting for me, right? It's that, but I can do this and I'm doing this. But how do I make it more, right? Yeah. And then, but no, I don't really need the help because we're so conditioned to believe that, oh no, it's something wrong. I'm defective if I need help. There's something not right because I'm asking for help. And that's not the case. Sometimes you really do need to get the help. That's what I'm saying with me. Once I got a partner that could understand the side that I was weak in, and I'm helping him in the side that he also needs strength in. The two of us coming together is building something stronger. That's what you're doing. Right. The coming together. We have to put some of our stuff aside and just find people and come together with them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it's always coming back to collaboration. Yes, no matter when we talk about, to me, breaking the code, it's really about when we collaborate, we really are able to not only break the code, but break the glass ceiling. Right. So I want to turn it over to some people in the audience. Absolutely. I want to give them an opportunity to kind of ask questions. Yes. Just to ask questions, again, both of us are up here. We have different businesses. I have, a business in the creative field. But also my other secret that I don't tell people, so don't tell a lot of people, is that my husband is going to jump out of his skin when I say this, but I went to grad school at NYU. And I got a degree in nonprofit management and public policy. So I actually took law classes to understand nonprofit. I've started a lot of nonprofit organizations. I've not only sat on boards, but I've helped people create boards. So I know a lot about funding. I don't tell people that because when you tell people you know how to go get grants, they ooh, you're my best friend. Right. Can we sit down, right? Yeah. And so I don't really do a lot of grant writing anymore. I happened to one day I woke up and I was married, and the next day I had a child, and the next day I had another child, and then this business became my third child, and it was just born. Yeah, but if you have questions about that, one of the things that I still do is I still try to keep my hand on the pulse of funding. So where's the funding? How do you go get funding? A lot of people come to me, they're like, okay, I want to go after funding. And I'm like, where's your pitch deck? And the first people, they were like, huh? What is that? And I'm like, how are you telling people you're going to take their money and do something with it if you can't pitch them and tell them what your business value means? Meaning how do you, I don't care if you're a nonprofit. People don't know how to do that.
Right, but I don't care if you're a nonprofit or business. You need to tell people how you're making money, right? Nonprofit and for-profit, the only difference is one, after everything is done, you can take the profits and put it in your pocket. Right. The nonprofit, you still got to make money, but you don't get to put it in your pocket. That's the only difference. And I try to tell people that all the time. you can't say, oh, I'm a nonprofit, I do really good, can you just give me some money and like hopefully we'll make it happen. No, you need to be able to sell these companies what you're doing, what your value is. And so like if anybody ever comes to me and says, I want to go for funding, I want to know what your pitch is. So definitely use me as a resource if you have questions about how to go get funding, what I should do. I'm here as a resource. So if you want to ask questions, definitely we're here to ask questions for a couple of minutes. Any questions?
Yes. I think funding. Like it's so cliche, but it is. Like the it's just, we're not doing enough. Like this whole JCAS thing, it's not like there should be more money going to that, right? Because I think that the arts really build community, and what's happening is you're taking away from
Repeat.
that, right? We're not really bringing that in. But I do say whatever art organizations around, like I'm saying, look at the programs, check out what they're having, and if you're interested in stuff, engage. You know what I mean? Because there's ways, like I said, you may apply this time for something. You may have like your story about your mom. You may want to write about that one. Incubator program is there that you can maybe put that in. They've helped people put on different places and different organizations do that. You know what I mean? But that's important. So even though the city's not funding that, these organizations are. So put yourself out there and just like see, 'cause you gotta get no. That's my biggest thing has been the no. It's like, oh, what? Like you don't want to do this again, but you have to. That's just it's part of. Unfortunately, it's part of adulting, and that's the part I don't like. You know what I mean? It's like
And having conversation. Yeah, and having conversation. I think that in the last 2 months, we've probably had like a meeting every day, twice a day, with different like people that are interested in either funding us, getting funding, connecting us with different funders. It's so many conversations to get to that one person. And so it's definitely about reach. It's definitely about utilizing your social capital. And I talk about that all the time. A lot of times, I'm always, Antonio is the like, let's give. I'm always like, where's the check? Right. And I think,
well, you need the balance. You need a balance. So, you can't both of you be
right, but what I've learned is that you have to be able to be wise and figure out when that social capital is important. Like JCAS, there's not a really big budget for it. In fact, there's really no budget if we want to be
zero budget.
Yeah, and so I may have said that on the record. So Antonio, you may need to scratch that. I probably wasn't supposed to say that, but the real. But what we're demonstrating is I'm connecting with people that not only are in the city, but different businesses. So now I can pick up the phone and call the director of cultural affairs and say, hey, we just talked. I need to do so and so and so and so, right? You have to be able to, like, there are going to be some things where you're going to have to do, I don't want to say, pro bono, but sometimes you will have to do things pro bono, especially starting out. Antonio, my husband, he taught me that. Like when he started his NC Headshot. So he has a company. He has several companies, but one of them is NC Headshot. And it's basically a headshot company. And when he started, like say the headshots in North Carolina were 150, he was 250. And I was like, you're not going to get clients. Do you know where you are? And he was like, watch, I'm going to give 10 headshots away for free. So he started giving headshots away to like Duke doctors and Chapel Hill doctors, and all of a sudden he was booked all the time. And I was like, and he was like, I keep telling you, it's the power of giving away to figure out how do you give away to bring in more. Right. And he was like, that's how you have to think about business. You can't show up saying, I want, give me the check today, right? You have to demonstrate that your brand is worth paying for. And so I think I always encourage people to don't also lean on funders, lean on yourself.
Because look at yourself. You don't want personally to give money to things that you're like, what is this? Right? And so that's how somebody else is going to look at that, right?
Yeah.
It's how you see something is how somebody else is going to see something. And you have to think about that, right? So if I'm presenting a certain way And it's like, oh, that's not even really looking good to me. What do you think other people are thinking? Right.
Or,
You know?
yeah, or we have another photographer. Her name is Jenny. And when I started her stores, Jenny is so amazing. She came the first time, we hit it off. I don't know what happened between us. We hit it off. She became my unofficial head of marketing. She would at people. I mean, she was like, you know, that nice person, but they like tell you coming, like, you gonna support my friend.
Right.
But like, but she's so sweet. So you be like, did she just make me come to the event?
Yes.
And she had so many people coming.
Right.
Jenny created social capital with me. If Jenny called me and said, Nicole, I need to use the studio for 2 hours, I won't be able to pay this time. One, Jenny has supported my company.
Right.
Jenny has built social capital. She didn't ask me for anything. She brought something to the table. Now Jenny can come and ask Antonio, can you teach me lighting? And he'll say yes. Those are also, right, she's already built that social capital. I don't think people realize the power of that, of going to people saying, what can I do for you? And you automatically, can you imagine if you quantify, like, how much is a class to teach lighting costs? How much does the studio cost for 2 hours? I also have an assistant. Her name is Mia. Shout out to Mia. She came aboard and she just started like helping. And one day she was like, I want to have a sound bath. And I was like, okay. She's like, but I want to charge. I was like, okay. She was like, you don't want anything? I was like, no, you built social cap, like you built that. So now she gets to build her business not for free, but she doesn't have to worry about the overhead. Right.
That's what a lot of businesses do, right? A lot of people do. It's the give and take.
I wish a lot of young businesses would realize that, because it costs. A lot of us that have been having business, it costs to have a brick and mortar. It costs to have overhead. And if you can find somebody that will take you under their wing and they will allow you to build your business risk-free and you ain't got to worry about the rent, sign me up. If I could have done that, I would have, because you don't realize that's funding in itself.
Right.
That if I had to quantify how much funding I poured into people, that tax deductible would be off the chain.
Knowledge but the knowledge is the power in anything, right? That's what we're saying, like looking for funding. Most people get it because they know something, so they know how to get out there or who to talk to, where to go, and things like that. That's the thing, the knowledge.
Right.
That's where your power comes in life.
Exactly.
Is the knowledge.
Exactly.
Once you get that, you can do whatever you need to do. But a lot of us are like even afraid of the knowledge sometimes.
That's
it's like,
true.
ooh, that's like you doing too much right there. You know what I mean? So you have to push yourself into spaces even when you don't feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do certain things and talk to people sometimes that you don't feel comfortable talking to,
or you don't want to talk to.
You're learning stuff. You got to listen to things. Sometimes it's the power in the listening. Sometimes I'll go to things and just listen to people talking.
Mm-hmm.
What are you saying? You hear the craziest stuff and the most interesting things when you just listening.
That's
like,
true.
Oh, wait, what'd she say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You standing in the background just hearing it. You know, that's another way to get, if you're not comfortable right off the bat, like just go to spaces and just hang out.
Yeah.
You know?
Somebody had a question over here. Did you have a question?
Yes. Yes.
Right. My question: How did you know time to let go?
How did you know when it was time to let go and let people in?
Yeah.
So when I just realized I was spinning my wheels and I wasn't really moving the way I wanted to, right? And then I was talking to the person that I partnered with. We were talking. And I was saying about, like, I want to do this thing and stuff. And he's like, I might be interested. And I didn't really take him up on it. Like, I was kind of like, And then I just kind of went back and I started realizing, oh, I'm not really doing anything with this. I'm doing a lot of talking, but a lot of stuff is not happening. And then I had to just be like, you know what? Why don't you just think about, you could use some help. He has the help you need. Why aren't you discussing that? And then I just got up the courage and was like, okay, let's just try to do that. Because sometimes you just need that. You need to have somebody who has the piece you don't have. And that's the thing.
I also think that's such a important question, because I think most entrepreneurs don't know when to do that, right? When to stop trying to do it yourself. My husband and I had such a powerful conversation maybe a year ago. And I was like, listen, no, it was 2 years ago. We got pregnant with our youngest. And I was like, listen, you need some help because I got a lot going on and I can't do all of this with you. And you're doing a lot and we're spinning. And we have something, but you're not good at all of those things. Right. Like, you know how you're not good at cleaning up the house? You're not good at managing people. Like, I mean, you just gotta, sometimes you gotta be honest. And also, even when you have say you go into, that's my best friend. We went into partnership. But sometimes you gotta tell your best friend, listen, we need some help. You need some help. We can't do this. We got to let people in. We're good, but we could be great if we let people in.
With ourselves. So
girl,
that is the hardest part, is being honest.
Because we think we know everything.
And that was my thing. It was like, no, but I know this. But no, I can do this.
I did.
It's like, so asking for help or seeing help, it really, getting over the fact that I needed it. Like, it was one of these things that was like, no, I can do this. What are you doing? No, you got it. You've been doing this, whatever. But what do you want to do when you want to get past a certain place? So I was doing the teaching and stuff, and it's something I have always wanted to do, but I wanted to get past that. What do I need to do? So I had to let that part of myself go and be like, you know what? Stop it.
Yeah.
You need help. So how's this going to play out? And then, but what's the help look like, right? Picking somebody that I really want to work with.
Or that knows more than you.
Yes, but not just getting help, because sometimes in life we're picking the wrong things, right? So you got to really think about, not only do I need the help, but am I picking the right help? And that's what was happening. It was like matching those two things got me to this space.
Not only that, but one of the best lessons that I learned was about shared vision.
Yes.
You ever know, like, you meet somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, we like the same thing. We want the same thing. But when you think about vision, is about where do you want to go?
Right.
How do you want to see this thing done? Right. Mission is about, like, I want to do this. I want to be actionable. But vision is like, where do we see ourselves going? And a lot of times people have the same mission, but they don't have the same vision. And that was one of the things that Antonio and I burnt ourselves a lot of times, because we knew we needed help. So we would just bring people in, because it would always be me fussing. I'm tired of doing this. I work, you know what I mean? You know how you fuss and you just, going off on it. And he would just be like, well, we need to, and we would go find somebody, or he would go find somebody. And I'd be like, and I'm like, oh, they not, you know what I mean? Like, they don't share our vision, and it will always end up. Right. But the people who share your vision, it's just like, not that it works, but you're going in the same direction. For example, say if I want to grow the business, but you just want to make profit. We don't have the same vision. So if we try to run a company together, you're going to get mad at me because I'm always investing in the business.
Know that,
but it's hard to know that.
But it is. It's easy enough when you're having conversations. You know what I mean? It's like with dating anything, right?
We talked about dating.
Yes, because you have to talk to people. What we don't do a lot of in friendships, dating, we don't talk to people.
Collab and partnership.
We don't listen. Where people tell you who the hell they are. They're telling you, and you're not paying attention. Sometimes people will do. I just talked to somebody who went on a trip with somebody, right? And something funky happened, but it happened at the beginning of the trip.
This is why I like these conversations. We be like, girl, let me tell you, we all went from breaking the code to telling the girlfriend.
Let me give you the gotcha to the story, right? Because a day into the trip, other funky stuff started happening. And I said to her, see, you should have known from the first funky thing, this was going to go left. Because she told you from day one, this is not going to be good for you. It's just not, because she started the party with some funky nonsense. And then it just kept going from there. And I said to her, you should have stopped right there.
Y'all should have talked.
And then,
y'all should have went on a weekend trip.
No, you should have. They was on a trip. And I said to her, you should have pulled her aside and you should have had a conversation. But you didn't. And so then it kept getting worse and worse. And we do that with people. This is a friend of hers, but we do that with people. We don't say, we just seethe quietly. You look at her. She getting on my nerves.
Because we
I
don't
have nothing to say. No, we do that. We don't say things.
because we don't like to have difficult conversations.
I'm get over it, but I didn't like that. And then you mad about something, then you yelling at somebody 20 years later, and they're like, well, what the heck? What? Because you never said anything. Say something.
Have you read Difficult Conversations?
No.
Has anybody read Difficult Conversations? No. I promise you, this book will change your life. Yeah. Read it. Yeah. If you are, it's called Difficult Conversation. Right. I read it in grad school. And I was actually going through a bad breakup, but it was like, it always works the way it works, right? And so, like, every time we was in class reading, and I was like, yep, that's it. I should have had that conversation. Yes. But if you are a business owner, I would tell you, read this book. It's called Difficult Conversations. It really taught me how to step up and have difficult conversations with my marriage, with my parents, but even with my business, because I struggle. I always want to help. That has always been, I think most people are like that. You want to help, you want to support. You never want to say, this ain't working, it's me, not you, right? But I think that when you have a business, if we want to get serious about business, I always tell my husband, we have to protect us first. I get you care about this person, that's your homeboy, but at the end of the day, if we're going to say we're doing business, we're going to have a very difficult conversation. And this is not, and a lot of people, you'll be surprised. I've had people that partner with us, they'll say, I don't want to have a difficult conversation because they feel like I don't want to break up. And I'm like, it's not a breakup. You have to have difficult conversations in order to move forward, right? Steve Jobs used to have a lot of difficult conversations.
But if a relationship is strong, it withstands difficulty. If it's not, let it die. Sometimes you gotta let stuff go. Sometimes you just don't need them.
Or sometimes we just don't know. I think that sometimes we let stuff die that probably shouldn't because we don't know how to have the right conversation.
That's what I mean. So sometimes you either say it to save it or save it to let it go. But you have to say something in order for this to do whatever it's going to do.
Right.
And sometimes we don't do that. We don't have these conversations. Like I said, you just sitting there. And then you're mad or you're whatever about stuff because you just never said anything.
Right.
And people don't read minds. We just don't.
Yeah.
You have to tell people what you feel. And whatever the outcome is, this is another part about adulting that's really hard. You got to take that. You got to take that L. If that's what's going to happen, take it. But sometimes we don't want to do that. We don't want to be like, oh man, like I just really messed up in that decision. I just told somebody today, one of the things that I'm really happy about that I've learned in life is once I make a decision, I don't care what happens, I'm with it. That's it. But once I make a decision, I don't give a shit what happens, I'm with that. Like, I might...
What they say, you roll until the wheels fall off?
I am doing that. Because I feel like as an adult, as a grown woman, once I make a decision, I need to stick by that, right?
Yeah.
And I need to be able to say, you know what, I messed up.
Yeah.
That's okay. I did that. But I'm going to fix it or I'm going to do whatever it is. But I need to be able to do that. But that's what helps you have the difficult conversation.
One of the things that has been a really good thing, but I have to check myself, we've surrounded ourselves around a lot of young, creative women. And you forget as you get older in your journey that the lessons you had to learn down here. So like being a woman of your word or, you know what I mean? Like follow through or just things that you learn as a young woman, you're learning those things. And so like, I feel like also we go back to like breaking the code and like, like really trying to be, people that are making moves in the industry. I think for me, one of the biggest things is having to like support young women and helping them learn those lessons because I'm a safe space to learn that lesson. When you learn that lesson outside of this safe space, it can be ugly, harsh. They don't. And I had really good sisters and mentors when I was like coming up that taught me how to like you said, make a decision and stand with it. And sometimes I think that, now I feel like I'm in the OG club. I feel like I'm like auntie now, but like, especially to a lot of the young, creative like owners and stuff like that. But it's hard to watch them go through. And I'm sure people say that about me. Like it was hard to watch me go through it, but they were still like, listen, I'm going to coach you and I'm going to referee you because I want to see you grow. And I think, like you said, it just hit me because I'm noticing like I had somebody that just like was like, the meeting was, you know, at 11:30, and they were like, I can't get there to 12:30. And unfortunately, in certain rooms, when you miss a meeting, that person they realistically have something else to go to. They're not being rude, like, oh, I don't want to meet, your time is up. They really have other places to go.
That's about scheduling.
And I had to really learn, you know, carrying every meeting that is important. It's okay, things come up, you're late, but I had to really learn as a one. And my sisters taught me that. They taught me to value somebody's time. They taught me, like, I don't care if I'm your sister. Right. If you say you're gonna meet me this time, I need you to show up, because that's important. And I feel like that we don't have that sisterhood where we're supporting and we're coaching. I always say you need three people in your life: a coach, referee, and a cheerleader. And, you know, I was very blessed to have all three of those: the coach, the ref. My sisters coached the heck out of me. They refereed the heck out of me, but they also cheered me. Mm-hmm. But I see kind of the woman that I am, and just kind of the woman you are. And we've been taught those lessons. Somebody had to like kind of check us, right? And be like, listen, you need to do this. And so I just hope that like us breaking the code in this industry really helps a lot of the young women to kind of like, I hope that we can start to support them and coach them and help them kind of, you know, have that kind of model for themselves. Because I think that I keep going back to where that safe space, and I pray that they see me as that safe space, because I'll tell you, when you get outside of that safe space, people will really treat you bad if you don't know the code of conduct, if that makes sense. No, they will break ties with you. They'll abandon you. They won't call you back.
But
you know what I mean?
Happens when people see how you're dealing, right? So the thing is reciprocity, right?
Yeah.
You have to, if you want to be treated a certain way, you have to treat a certain way. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
They don't do that. Like, so the being late. Right? So that person probably doesn't like being waiting for people, but you're making people wait for you.
But when you're young, you don't think there's any harm.
You gotta learn.
But that's what I'm saying. You have to learn that.
Know that. You have to know that, listen, you being late, like, what if I'm late with you all the time? So that's conversations that we have to have as we're growing as adults.
Yeah.
Like, what do I want to see in others? And the things that you put out in the world is the things that you get back.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem true, but it is.
But you know what? I had to, the reason why I think this is so important conversation about breaking the code, because I wasn't really good at that. When I was young, I didn't really see that as, you know, I'm living life. I'm in my 20s. I'm having fun. Yeah. You know, I'm thinking like, it's not that big of a deal. It's okay. It's a big deal. And my sisters really taught me like, no, it's a big deal. Like, you don't, like, if you say you're going to show up, and these are my blood sisters. They used to give me a hard time, but I'm so grateful to God they did, because I see a lot of young women and they just don't have that. But I'm not faulting them. I'm saying there's a missing teaching moment. There's no community, because when you're young, you just don't know that. It's not that you're not a bad person or you don't want to get reciprocity. Exactly. You just don't know to do that, or it's not that big of a deal because you don't really understand that how that life is going to come back at you. So I'm just saying, you know, I hope that also, I always say the OGs, I hope that we can also be of teaching and of supporting and also of grace. Like, I've learned how to also give a lot of young creative business owners grace, because I'm recognizing they don't have that. So my first instinct when people do that to me, I'm like, because really, I'm telling you, people, you don't show up, they will they'll cut you off. They'll never call you back.
In my time, I gotta go.
And that's my first instinct.
They don't offer, but to help people, you give them the explanation. And
you teach them
a second, you give them a chance.
And that's my whole point of like, that's, to me, that's the other part of like women in the movement that are really moving and shaking and creating opportunities. Those are the women you want to connect with. The women who give you the second chance, the women they give you the teaching moment. They don't break you or cut you off. They're like, hey, next time I want you to do this. And this is how I want you to move. Because I'm telling you, especially when you get into these big, big spaces, you're not going to know how to move. You're going to need a couple of people telling you, you know, what do they say? You know, go left, go right, go straight, go. You need bob and weave. You need that.
You really do.
person to tell you. And I feel like it's important for the OGs. Like, even like one of my good friends, Talonda, like, you know, I was thinking about like giving somebody, you know, letting people have this space for like free, like saying you just do whatever you want on her story. Cause I was tired. I was tired of doing her story and I needed a break. And she kind of like, as an OG, she kind of brought me to the side and was like, listen, you can't have everybody in your space. I get it. And I know you want to do that. And I could have took it like, how she gonna talk? How she gonna
Tell me what I
But
can
I allowed. But she was trying to coach me because she had already had a business. She already had a space. She already been through that, and she saw me going down that path, and she wanted to make sure that I understood how to move. Because had I started to, I opened up my space one time, and I regret it to this end of day. Was the worst decision I ever made. But there were women in my life. Y'all hear my child? Like, I'm telling you, he off the chain. 2 years old, he's still running stuff. But I know we're gonna close soon. But that's just been in my spirit so much. And like us talking about breaking the code, because I have seen people not support the next generation in that way, especially women.
When you get older, people
pushing.
think they know everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't do that, right?
Yeah, and we're so quick, I think, as sometimes, not all the times, not every, and I gave a example about my friend Talonda, but not all women of color are like that. But I think, unfortunately, we don't do enough. We see her, like say we see her like building her own company, and we like, that's my company.
Because they believe in lack, right? So there's a lack principle, right? So people look at there's not enough. So
Yeah.
if you got it, I can't get it.
Right.
So I'm gonna stop you from getting it because I want it. You don't see, if you live in a space of abundance, you're not going to feel like that. You're going to be like, she got it, I'm going to get it too. Teach me.
Right.
Teach me, because I'm always about somebody teaching me something.
Because,
like, you know something I don't know? Talk to me. Because that's how you grow and that's how you learn. When you're out here like, oh, you know, but in that same moment, you also have to have discernment and you have to think about energy. You can't give your energy to everybody.
You can't.
That's what Talonda's telling you. You can't have everybody here because you can't have all this energy.
Yeah.
You got to pick and choose. You got to curate the energy.
Yeah.
Right, in your life. You have to curate that. I am very clear about the friend circles I have, right?
Yeah.
I know how I'm dealing with that. I know if I go, like when I went to Ghana, I went with a group of people. I trusted everybody there.
You had to. There was tigers, lions, and bears.
You know how many people? But you know how many people go on trips with people that they can't trust. They can't even trust in American soil, much less foreign soil.
I don't know nobody that do that in my
people
circle.
do that, and that's you got to. And that's what young people do sometimes. So you have to think about that. Who am I telling stuff to? You can't tell everybody everything when you're working on stuff.
Yeah.
You got to think about that too. Who am I telling? Who am I sharing things with?
Well, when we talk about competition, like I said, I talked about this new company, not new company because she's been around a while, but she's new to the area, Neighbors. And, you know, I'm going to go chill at that spot, right?
Yes.
Like, I'm going to go and,
But you have the
you
vibe
know,
from her. You're like, oh,
yeah.
okay,
But
let's do this.
but some people be like, oh my God, yeah, like she's an event space, you know. Yeah.
No.
But I'm like, it's not a in fact,
No.
like I'm gonna go hang out there because there's a vibe, there's an energy
Right.
that's not here, and the way that you support and you collaborate and you build collaboration and reciprocity is that you find where you can go to say, hey, you have something that is great, and I feel like that is the type of that when you talk about legacy, that's the type of legacy that like I want. I want people to be like, yo, she came and like she was like supporting me. Like she had my back. Like she, you know, like she was like big sis. So like, you know, I guess I don't want to be auntie yet, but God darn it.
This ain't nothing wrong with being auntie.
Okay. Because I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. I still feel like, you know what I'm saying? I got a little twerk in myself, but I mean,
you could be a twerking step auntie too.
But
you could do, but you're big sis right now. But you could do that.
I use that example because I want, you know, I want people to realize that it really is important to collaborate and support each other because you have something that somebody else doesn't have, and like I said, it's big bombs versus little bombs, right? If when I go support her, that big bomb is going to create something, whereas that reciprocity is going to come back, right? And I really just feel that. And so any company that comes to me, whether they're big or they're small, like I'm always trying to figure out like, how can I go and like, you know what I'm saying, be down with you. You know what I mean? And especially, this is the other thing I love. All of these young companies, I get to hang around young people. Like they are young and happening, and I feel that energy from them, and they're so sweet to me. They always be like, you know, they look at me like, hey, auntie. Like, you know, when I come in the building, they like, oh, auntie here. But I just really have fun with them because I feel like they're motivated, they're young. Yeah, I really do. I think we had one more question, and then we're gonna wrap it up. When did?
Right. And then we don't know when to, is this well or is this not? And I think like once you get to learn like how you want to align yourself with people, out, and you say no to things. I think a lot of us women struggle with the word no. Right. We're naturally nurturers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for us to say no to people because we don't want to fail whatever space, you know, times that we're in. So I think like if we figure those things out, you can align yourself. Everybody has a potential, but it doesn't mean you have to be there for the long haul.
You don't.
I've learned that we're like, okay, I've helped you this much, and right now I'm just
Exactly. Because you know when it's not feeling good anymore. And you're just like, damn, go again. You looking at the phone like shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got that person in, like, you just at the phone like that. Like, really? Like, come on now. Or like, you gonna tell me the same story again? Like,
So you do know this is gonna get published, and the people that don't hear from you, and
they already know. They already know. They're like, I see her.
You have a question? You have a?
Oh no, I wanted to say it's really hard to when there's a problem. Right?
Yeah.
And you were talking about collaborating and joining with marketing decks and everything in the right way. But what happens is you don't have a real conversation. Your direction, right? Your your determination and your drive. Like if you don't have the same determination and drive, even if you have everything in common,
it doesn't work. It's so true. It's so true.
You can have everything, and if that's not aligned, it's not going to work.
That is so true.
How do you lead?
Right.
And that's the part I haven't mastered. But yeah, the drive and determination is very, very important.
So true.
How do you study?
Everything that you know, collaborating and the work that word like collaboration. Very big on content, not community. Collaborating.
Right.
Because I want to do X, Y, and Z. That's not going to benefit. Right. You can tell me like I'd rather you stay like collaboration because there's minor setbacks. Collaboration is you and I work and we make something together. Exactly. It doesn't mean like I can't afford it. Let me just see if we're gonna collaborate because we're gonna make a real out of it, or I'm gonna get an audience. Like I already have an audience. I work hard for it. Exactly. And I work very hard, so I don't have to collaborate with you. Right. Just because I never judgment. Right. So, reciprocity. Right. We talked about that last week. We talked about collab versus partnership. You know how collab you dating? It's like you do your part, I do my part, and we'll see, you know what I'm saying, where we are. When you partner, that's when you really like, you're all in, right? You put your resource together, you're putting your social capital together. And a lot of times I agree with you, like I'm a collab person. The reason why I'll say collab, because that's my dating with you. Like, I don't have no agreement with you. I don't have no stake in it. You do your part, I do my part. Let's see what that energy looks like, because if it doesn't work out, we can move on. And I agree with you. I think a lot of times people do come to you and be like, they come to us all the time and be like, can we collab? Because they want a free space, right? And it's not because they really want to genuinely collab. They really just want a free space from us. And I think...
Like, I prefer, like, I'm not always I don't say I have this idea, but I don't have the money for it.
Well, here's how the gotcha. So the way that I've learned how to do that is I always am thinking about, like, I always say, if you don't have an agenda, you become a part of somebody else's. And agendas don't mean I need to, intent on your agenda is very important. If your intent is to use, then your agenda becomes negative. But if my intent is to say, hey, I like you, I see that there's an opportunity, you want to collab, I'm going to figure out how this is going to work for me. Because the unfortunate part about it is everybody is not going to always be upfront. I would wish everybody would say, like, hey, I don't have a budget, so let me do this. But the unfortunate part about it is you got to be especially as women in business, we always have to be 2 steps ahead. And I'm always thinking, if you say collab, because I talked to this about Antonio. People call, he'll be like, Nicole, you got a meeting at 3, you got a meeting at 5. And it's always, can you collab and come to my space? Or can I come to your space? And da-da-da-da. And I'm always saying to myself, so how does this benefit me? And I don't because at first my ego used to be like, I'm going to let them know, this don't benefit me. So why am I? But I was like, you know what? That's not smart. Let me figure out what my agenda could be. And I'm going to figure out how to make this work. So when you come to me and feel like you got this bright idea and you want to use my space, I'm already 2 steps ahead of you, because I'm already thinking about, oh, so yeah, you can. And can you do X and Y and Z? Because I think that you're absolutely right. A lot of people's intent is not always good, but one thing that we have to do is that we have to be, when we're about our business, everybody, you don't have to always like who you work with, or you don't have to, I take that back, because I don't like to not like people that I don't work with. But you don't always have to be like, we both have the same missions. It could be like somebody is they really want to use your space because they don't have it. And like you said, it's okay to say no. The opportunity doesn't look good for me. Let's try next time. But I've tried to turn that around and reframe it, and reframe the, how can this benefit me? Because I just know people are not going to be open like that no more. I've had so many people come and want to use, when I tell y'all, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, can we collab and we use your space for free? And they never thought about how this will benefit me. They always think about how they're going to benefit them. And it would frustrate the heck out of me. And I would walk away like, I can't believe they just like, how do they think we gonna pay rent? My husband doesn't go on the pole. Like, how they think we doing rent around here? I don't know how they think we doing rent around here. Cause like you said, I got rent, I got bills, but I say all that to say, I think you're absolutely right. And I think the one way that you do that is stay two toes, ahead of people. Like, always thinking about what is your job? How can you benefit from it? Because at the end of the day, like you said, if it don't benefit you, I can listen to you. You can have a great conversation. I'm not going to be mean about it, but I'm going to always figure out how I can make something work for me. I had to learn that, because if I don't, I miss out on opportunities, because people are trying to, I don't want to say use me, but that's kind of what they're doing. And so I'm like, okay, well, here's how I'm going to make it work for me. You know what I mean? And we talked about collab and partnership last week. I always say, if I say I'm collabing with you, that means I don't really know you yet, and I'm dating you, and I'm not ready to part. If I say, like, the Uncommon, I'm saying we're partnering with them. Like, I'm starting to, talk about what my 20% is. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm all in with them. But a lot of people, I don't get that far, because like you said, it's when you got to exit, especially when you really like people. You can like somebody, but when the business don't feel right, you got to exit. And that's the hard part.
Discernment and paying attention to what people are telling you when they start. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to know. Like, you listen to what's happening, what's going on. Pay attention. Some people you might say, oh, okay, I want to work with you. But then some people, no, Absolutely not. Even
Yeah.
though they're coming at you funky, you may still want to work with them, but you have to be discerning in that.
Yeah.
Like you have to listen to ourselves about things. People tell you who they're going to be.
Yeah.
They tell you.
Yeah.
You just got to know, okay, I'm not messing with you with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts before we wrap up?
Add to that, I've had experiences sometimes, and I've always said, I was like, as a company, I feel like I would hire someone. I don't want to be the face all the time, but if I wanted to have that conversation, sometimes I have a conversation for that. What rooms can they get into that I would?
Right.
That's where the partnership begins, right? You know, I might not like how you're moving, but I know what connections you have. If I can use those connections to my advantage at a later point in time, once I'm in the room with those people, it don't matter. I can make a name for myself.
Right,
And
right.
sometimes, like how you said, like you don't have to like somebody. It's not even about liking. I feel like sometimes you have to see, like, there's no way I'll be able to walk standing behind my brand and my business. You have to find ways to get around that sometimes. You might not agree with the person, they might not be aligned with you at the moment, but if you know that they got that entrance way for you, then you can stand. I think that's what it is, the fear of just throwing yourself in there. I think I've experienced it a lot when I walk in. I was with Dominique and Hoboken, so I walked into a lot of networking meetings that I always felt uncomfortable because I didn't open my mouth. They were just assume I was either the server, or, and it was, you know, sometimes those that do it, we have to not be scared to just stand
Up, yes.
strong.
Exactly.
And just be confident. Even how you walk, like when you walk into a room, don't walk with your head down and just take people who want to collaborate with you or partner with you. First, do a list of what are the cons of.
Right.
It might not work long term.
Might work short.
Some spaces that you'll never be able to walk
Right.
into just.
True.
I don't even think that it's really like you don't have to like everyone. They have a door that you.
I always say it's the pull versus push model. Like, I'm not a pusher. I'm not going to push my way in. I've always been, people have pulled me in. And the reason, and it's strategic for me because I feel like when people pull you in, they're more willing to go to bat for you. They're willing to open up, like you said, open up doors. And I think that if I started a business when I was younger, you know, the power it is to let somebody bulldoze for you. And I think that that's where it frustrates me a little bit, like when we open up our doors and try to help, and I think people are kind of like, they don't really mean it. Like, do you know how it feels to have somebody to shield you and bulldoze you, and then once you get to that space where you can really shine, you can be like, I got it. You know what I mean? But to take a lot of that risk away, and don't get me wrong, it's nothing wrong with you bulldozing your way through, making your own way, because sometimes you have to do that in order to really learn the lessons. But I think there's power in being pulled in. There's power in letting people pull you through and letting people crack those doors open and break those rocks while you're just kind of like benefiting for them, like hammering away. And I think that is, like you said, there's a lot of power in that because there's some rooms that you wouldn't have gotten into. And I think that's where you have to let ego go and really be able to like receive. And I'll be honest with you, there's times, not me, it's more Antonio. It's not me, but more Antonio. No, when we first met, he was like, I was trying to like give him some marketing advice and trying to give him some business advice. And he was like, his face was looking all messed up. And I was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, do you like not, I don't feel like you're receiving this. And he was like, really, all I need you to do is sign a check. Yeah. And I was like, what?
She just come.
His ego was on blast. So let's forward it to 2021. And he was like, I want to start a company, but I need to da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, you need help now. You need some backing. You need some support. He was like, I can't do this by myself. You're right. And I was like, what happened to the girl you need to sign the checks? And I think it's just about sometimes when you hit your head so many times, kind of like when you said, like, when do you know to ask for help? That was because he was not an ask for help. He was, I'm going to do it all of myself. Even now, sometimes I have to remind him, you have help. Ask for help, you know. So I'll leave you guys with this. I think that we talked about a lot of different things, and I don't know if we answered a lot of questions about breaking the code, but I think for me, there are women in the space like Shelly who, to me, that are breaking the code. They're being, they're on boards. They're presidents of boards on nonprofits that traditionally haven't seen a brown woman to be the president of a board. Reaching out to a lot of artists. You guys were very instrumental in reaching out to us to help us kind of get an art house grant and kind of say, hey, Antonio, there's opportunities out there. And I think that when we really think about breaking the code, it's not necessarily that I've had this successful business and I've made $3.3 million, but it's really about what doors am I opening? What opportunities am I seeing? What,
Right.
Roadblocks have I experienced that I can kind of tell you about so that, you can be successful.
Right.
And I think that for me, when I think about breaking the code, that's kind of been what I've done, right? As a entrepreneur, as somebody who has seen a lot of funding go through, the artist community, just being that voice to kind of support other young artists, businesses, and just kind of say like, hey, here's how you can, here's a direction you can go. Here's an opportunity that you can, you see. And also like, here's something to avoid,
Right.
and that's kind of been like, I think our legacy.
Right.
And I'm proud of that. I think that there's still a lot of work to be done, especially with women of color, trying to have creative businesses, like we talked about, trying to have community businesses, or artist businesses, and getting people to really it's not about taking us seriously, but really funding, right? And seeing the value, right? The monetary value of our businesses, and also for us to support each other,
Yes.
right? Pouring into each other, and I think that that's something that I want us to continue, and that's what this conversation has been all about. So thank you so much,
thank you
Shelly.
for having me.
Of course, thank you guys.
Thank you.
So just so you guys know, next month is our last month for her story, so we're gonna take a break for November and December because everybody's going on the holidays and everything like
Right.
that.
And that's
then we're going to
Thanksgiving.
come back. And so we have one of the speakers next month. She's a writer for HUD Post, really, really dope young lady. And we're going to talk about burnout, and we're going to talk about the mental health and how to support artists.
Nice.
And also she's going to do one of the reasons why I like her, she has a huge community. She has thousands of followers, and she's been able to help a lot of small businesses, especially eatery businesses, different type of beverage to
Nice.
get on. She actually, one of our friends, Roast and Cream, they're in Union City. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They're a hip hop coffee shop. They're really, really dope. They're on Bergen Line, and they're really, y'all should go like really support them. They were like, they were doing really good, like, really good shop. She went there and gave them a review,
And now they're
and now they are doing really great. And so she's coming to do a review of the mocktails for the Uncommon Cup. So,
Nice.
and the hope is that she's going to like put them on the map
She will.
as well. But we're also going to have that conversation. So I want you guys to come out and support. I think it's October the 18th. Oh, well, then it's not October the 18th.
Then it
The
would be
16th.
It will be the 16th.
It's the third Thursday. Amber, what's her name? The 16th, October the 16th. So, and then the other last thing I wanted to let you guys know, so before October the 16th, we are having, I just talked about the closing party. I really, really, really need you guys to kind of help us. We're trying to pack this place out. JCast is the Jersey City Art Studio Tour. I'm probably saying the name wrong, but basically all the studios, Tony's on the board before he even try to correct me on the name. He's on the board, and basically all the studios within Jersey City open their doors. So I think, neighbors, you guys are going to have your doors open on what date? What day do you guys? Just every day? Y'all know? Okay. The 3rd to the 5th.
Right.
So a lot of the different studios within Jersey City are going to open their doors. And
Yeah.
each year they choose an opening party and a closing party. So
Right.
Magnum Opus got chosen for the closing party.
Right.
So we're going to have events all weekend.
That's
Friday.
the last day, last day of JCAS.
The last day of JCAS on that Sunday.
Right.
So we're gonna have events on that Friday, on that Saturday. The Friday is gonna be YKTV Takeover. So YKTV is the entertainment, clothing brand. They're gonna have their party. Then on Saturday we're gonna do like our somewhat of a second Saturdays where we're gonna have vendors and then Sunday from 1 to 4, we're still trying to make sure we're gonna plan this, but it's on Posh.
You're doing a
We're
brunch.
gonna do it's kind of like a brunch. We're calling it
Right.
the Sunday Collective. And so we're doing like a vinyl listening party. So we're gonna have a vinyl DJ. If you guys know about vinyl, it's very hard to get people to play vinyl. So we're gonna have a vinyl DJ. We're gonna have waffle infusion, so different type of waffles, chicken and waffles, waffle banana pudding, and then we're gonna have our very own uncommon cocktails. And then that's from 1 to 4. Those tickets are $50. So that's gonna be a paid event. And the reason why we're doing that is because of the budget for JCAS. We want to like pay artists for coming. So like DJ Bree does a lot of things for free for us, and I'm so appreciative of that. But at the same time, she's also doing it as her art and her craft, and we need to start paying our artists. So we're using that brunch to actually raise money so we can actually pay the artists that actually come that day. And so we really need people to like come to that brunch and support it because that money is actually going to pay because the 6 to 9 event is for free. The only thing you're going to pay for is the beverages. We're going to have like beverage packages like flights, unlimited wristbands, all of that. But everything else, like we have food, it's going to be catered for free by Virgin Hall. So it's going to be an amazing weekend. But a reason why I say 6 to 9, because like the city kind of wanted us to create very jazz, upscale, they said for professional artists. And we were like, that's not a right. That's what we that's what we said. We were like,
What does that mean?
What does that mean? And so Antonio and I sat down. We were like, we're not going to change our brand and change the people who we support because they have something in their mind of who they think are the artists of Jersey City. So we want to show them that there's a whole different side of like artists that are very serious artists, whatever they want to call it, they're our artists and we're going to support them. So that 6 to 9, we want to show them like who really runs Jersey City, who really supports the arts. Right. And they also think there's a very small community because Antonio and I, like when we first got here, they were like, you have to register to become a professional artist. So in Jersey City, you actually have to register and be named from Jersey City as a professional artist. Like there's a process, there's an application and all of that that you have to go. They still have it. And so, like Antonio, he shoots for like Harper's Bazaar, Vogue. I don't want to toot his horn, but you know, like
But
you
go
know,
ahead, toot.
He toot. He shoots for like Dove, Target. So he submitted his application. You know, they denied him and told him. I was like, well, what you got to do? Shoot for the Obamas? Like I'm not understanding. Like, who is the professional artist? And
So the reason why I know some where were you before?
we were at 150 bag.
Okay, so 150 artists 14.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I have been I'm portable. I've worked with them on last year and it was as I like coordinated like the run of show. Like all right, all the artists come in, they drop off their stuff, all that. So my point is that as someone who has artists, who has friends and who I went to school for art, so I've seen that what they consider artists is just so places like Art 14 that get funding. They have their bunch of artists that they show the city get money. And all of those artists, the ones that I met in the right from your city, they're all literally from
Ask Shalia.
right?
Oh, yeah. Ask Shalia. I'm a part of it.
So you know everybody in there when you ask where they're from.
Yeah, like different countries.
Yeah, so the reason why, it is great that Jersey our mission is like we're not only in the community, but we're in it. My space, art that's up. Every artist and art piece that's up, they're from Jersey City. I think that's the problem with Jersey City now, especially like community. Like you have to when you are speaking to people, where
Yeah.
they're from, especially like those artists who are telling you guys like, oh, only professional artists, like probably also from New York. Like,
That's funny you said that because they did come from, they live in Jersey City now, but they were from New York.
Yes.
And so they wanted us to put on, they were like, because we asked them, again, we didn't want to just put our agenda. We asked them, like, what are your thoughts about the event? So they sent us an email. They were like, we wanted to be jazz and we wanted to be professional artists with a couple of other just like neighborhood artists, not neighbors, but neighborhood artists. And Antonio went, oh, he was like, we're not having it. I was like, just calm down. Like, again, let's reframe it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on the type of event that we want. I mean, we are professional people and but we also have a mission and we have, you know, we came to this community to support emerging artists, like you said, that are from not only just Jersey City, but also New Jersey. Like we want to support New Jersey artists. And so that's what we're going to do. Like we're going to have artists here. We're going to have a silent auction. So artists are actually going to be able to put their art up that are from Jersey. And like you said, not from New York or anywhere like that, and be able to like sell their art. And so we're going to have like a DJ. We're going to have a violinist. We're going to have, like, it's going to be our party.
Yeah.
So they're going to be very shocked when they bring the mayor and the director of cultural affairs and the art for whatever, 14 and all of those different places, because we're not going to, you know, we're not going to change on that. And so, but we're also trying to introduce them to, like, we're trying to be the culture. Like, that's why we want to, I don't want to say, like, you know, and I mean, when I mean this from the heart. Like, that's why we want to collab with different people like yourself, and because we do want to create this culture that's very, it's not always being authentic, but it's about showing them that, like, there's something different that they're not tapping into, that these people need attention. I said these people, that was the wrong word. These artists need attention. They need exposure. They need attention. Like all those artists in our hallway, they came here to paint art or do something with us. Like they're from Jersey. You know, we put their art up. They get to sell it here. So we're just trying to bring a different type of flavor. Because when we were at 150 Bay, emerging artists did not like come to our space. We had like productions that came from New York. We had artists that came from New York, but emerging art, like we would have some that come to our space, and they would feel so uncomfortable. They'd be like, no, they'd be like, I'm not mad at y'all. We love your space, but we don't feel welcome. Like we had like big rappers. I don't even know their names. I'm not like, yeah, Ace Boogie the Hoogie. What? Tell your big sis you know what I'm talking about, right?
You hilarious. She said what?
So they came. Do you know we got a phone call and they were like, there are some people in the building. They're smoking weed. Now, granted, there's a big dispensary
Right downstairs.
right downstairs.
Big, huge.
And it was always like every time we had people that came in there, we were always getting phone calls like, we saw when people go into your space, and they would try to describe them, and they say everything but they're black. And so we would always laugh. We'd be like, you talking about the black guys that went upstairs?
Yes.
And they're like,
Yes.
oh, no, I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just.
That is what you're saying.
But
Okay.
so no one wanted to support. We had a very different clientele. So our clientele has definitely changed in a good way. But yeah, it's difficult. So I said that all to say, we want that party to really be representative of the Jersey artist community. And that's why I really want you guys to come out and support. And definitely that, like I said, that 1 to 4 event, I really want you, you know, to come out, support, share it. Like I said, the tickets are $50. We're not gonna benefit from it. Trust me, me and Antonio already talking about, like, he was like, I think we're gonna be in a deficit from this party, but we are committed to making sure that the artists get paid. Like, and we tried to explain that to JCast, and they were like, oh, why don't they just do it for free? And we were like, but if you're encouraging artists to like work, like, why are you then asking them to constantly do things for free?
Right.
That doesn't, like, your mission and what you're saying don't collide. So that's kind of what's happening. And also, so one last thing, and then I'm gonna be done with it, and then we're gonna leave. We're doing Christmas photos here. Um, so if you're thinking about getting your Christmas photos, huh? Yeah. You know Melissa Ford bring her little dog, pooping dog around here. Yeah, you can bring your dog.
As soon as you said it, I was telling her to bring the dog. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Melissa Ford, little dog, walk around here pooping all the time. We be like, girl, get your dog. This ain't. But yeah, we're gonna do Christmas photos here.
Okay.
So you'll see a lot of that. So it's gonna be a lot of great stuff. So even though we're not gonna have her story, we'll still.
Okay.
And I hope to see you guys.
sure you post everything in the group chat.
Ooh. Breaking news.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna do a wellness aspect. So we're gonna possibly go to somebody, and then we're gonna go to somebody. Tom, it is in Jersey City. It's about 5 minutes away from here. There's a young woman that has a yoga.
Is that on Monticello? Beautiful.
She's amazing. When you go in there, her space, it just makes you want to. And we're trying to add another type of business to our business. Our business. So not we won't. We'll actually have a whole well.
Are you doing the sound baths?
And we're gonna do the sound bath. So Mia.
Do you have a
actually-
schedule?
So
you're doing. Oh, so we're
Mia has the sound bath, and so we're gonna
Yes.
partake in that probably in December. She's gonna do.
Ooh,
the
lovely.
sound bath, and that's gonna be. On the house for her story. So her story is going to support that. And then she's also going to have other, yeah, we're going to do it won't be like a meeting like this, but it'll be like, we'll do yoga, and then we'll have like yoga and wine.
Yeah.
Y'all ever did yoga and wine?
Hello.
It's the jam.
Mm.
It's the jam. But you do, I mean, most people do it afterwards.
There's a difference.
But if you want to do it before, it's at your own risk. And if you want to do it before, but I normally have wine after yoga. But it's like wine, yoga and wine. But it's a lot of fun.
That's hilarious. So yoga.
But I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.